question is for Mr. Thomas, again on the subject of morality. You asserted that morality evolved along with the evolutionary process as a way of that we take care of one another and whatever. But if you look at and watch any nature show, you will never see a gazelle go back for his brother, mother, sister, friend to try to protect him from the lion. He will run, and that one that is weaker will get killed. And I'm wondering, because your idea of morality is a Christian idea of morality, and if you follow your own logic, the only morality that you could have, if you could even call it that, would be one of survival of the fittest. And to care for people is a weakness. And that is why Charles Darwin, and later adopted by Hitler, wanted to destroy what he considered sub-races and raise up a super race.
You have to ask the question.
That is my question. How do you jive that? Because you're completely borrowing from the Christian worldview, and you can't do that.
Humans are not very strong in the sense that our claws aren't good, our teeth aren't good, we can't run very fast, we have to put on artificial fur to protect us against the elements. However, our big strength is in our brains, in our ability to cooperate together, and our ability to create and use tools. So for us, the only way we can survive is really in a group. A person on his or her own separate existence in the wild cannot survive very well. But together in groups we can survive. Groups need cooperation. Groups need love. Couples, babies, as we all know, are born helpless. It's only because the parents love this baby, this squalling thing, that they take care of it. They don't just leave it out and forget about it. So love drives us. Cooperation drives us as species. It was later on that religions came into being to usurp this concept of morality. Morality has existed far before human beings existed. We can see the evidence of a proto-morality in other animals, in other higher animals, such as some of the other great apes. It'd take too long to get and explain it. The concept that she brought in briefly about Hitler is called social Darwinism. That is reprehensible. Darwin never pushed that in any way. It was just people trying to make sense of might makes right. Well, we all know we have the concept that might does not necessarily make right. That's how we survive as a cooperative, loving species. Thank you.
If morality is just an instinct that we are been built through evolution, let's take an example that C.S. Lewis gives. If there's a house burning or if there's danger, we have two instincts: be safe, or we hear a word that somebody says, help. We have two instincts: to be safe or maybe to help that person. But then, C.S. Lewis, he says, but you will find inside you, in addition to these two impulses, a third thing which tells you that you ought to follow the impulse to help and suppress the impulse to run away. Now this thing that judges between two instincts, that decides which should be encouraged, cannot itself be either of them. It's not one of them. Something else, it says. You might as well say that she's... Okay, that's it. So he proves it. It's not just these instincts. There's something else that's driving you to say you have to follow this one instead of that one. One thing to be safe, another thing to go help that person. And then there's a third thing that's saying, do this instead of doing that one. Everybody says you ought to act this way. You ought to do this. What are they judging this? What's the standard for saying you ought to do this? Social Darwinism, sure. Hitler, it doesn't necessarily follows that because Darwin, anybody who's an evolutionist has to commit genocide or whatever, but it sure justifies it. Because if there is no God, then the whole morality, if there is no moral lawgiver, then why is it wrong? And why is anything wrong? If there's no standard at all, there is no right or wrong. So then killing Jews would be okay, and survival. They're threatening our survival. Let's kill them off. Or anything. People are handicapped. They're not fit. They're not survival of the fittest. Or people, there are absolute moral rights and wrongs because the absolute moral law exists. And again, if there's an absolute moral law, there's an absolute moral law giver.
Well, I'm back in line because your answer left me wanting.
regarding the creation, the Big Bang, as well as evolution. And what I want to focus on, and here's the question, is define nothing, and then in the light of that definition, explain where matter and time and space and all the things that we see today come from. So I want you to define nothing and then explain how all these things come from it. Uncaused.
Excellent. That was great.
First, I would like you to define, give a definition for nothing, because we know that from astrophysical data that the universe came from a Big Bang, and the Big Bang had a beginning, which means that before the beginning there was nothing. So I'm saying define nothing, and then explain how time and space and matter and the complexity of everything we see today can possibly arise uncaused from nothing.
Okay. First of all, we don't really know what went on before the Big Bang. It is indeterminate. There's no way to know. So I'll point out that simply positing a God as the cause of this is a fallacy. It's simply another God of the gaps. It could quite be. There are many ideas put forth, such as what's called a multiverse, which is that universes can pop into being out of other universes. As I said, the string theory has currently, we can think of a 10 to the 500th possible solutions to it. So there could be this number of universes existing within the multiverse, thus completely negating the concept of of nothingness before the Big Bang. All we have is evidence of what happened after the Big Bang. That's all we have. That doesn't mean that some God created it. All we know is what happened after. But we do have rather excellent evidence of how matter precipitated out of the energy that was the positive energy of the Big Bang that was balanced by the negative energy of gravity. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense in our rational view, in our Newtonian view of the world.
I'm sorry, after he has the microphone.
Okay? So that's the point. We don't know. We don't know what happened before the Big Bang. You can posit just about anything. But positing a God as a solution just leaves you with a question, then who created God? By the way, there is no law of cause and effect. There is no law of causality. It's a straw man that's being put forth. It doesn't exist.
Debaters will be here so you can ask questions.
Okay, notice how the first question wasn't answered to definition to nothing. It's really hard to define nothing, but Aristotle had probably the best definition. He said, nothing is what rocks dream about. So out of what rocks dream about, we see an effect, the universe. And how can there be an effect without a cause? We are told that the law of causality doesn't exist. Another denial of rationality. Because there had to be a cause for that thought of him saying that it doesn't exist. What's the cause? Why doesn't the law of causality doesn't exist? What caused you to say that? I would like an answer to that. The multiverse theory is another theory postulated out of sheer faith. Sure, it's theoretically possible, just like the string theory, but what is the evidence for it? We have evidence for the beginning of the universe. The universe had a beginning, and we can get the beginning because it's an effect. The principle of causality can say, okay, there has to be a cause for this effect, the beginning of the universe. And what type of cause it is, again, unimaginably powerful to cause it out of nothing. Time, space, and matter popped into existence out of nothing, out of what rocks dream about. Timeless because it's outside of time, immaterial, supremely intelligent, and with the teleological argument, designer with the moral argument, perfectly moral, because we haven't seen a denial of the absolute moral law yet, if there is, because it's undeniable. And all of these things are not taken from the Bible. They are taken out of just evidence and forensic evidence from the past, from the principle of causality, and from forensic evidence that we can possibly